You ever see a war hero get told she's not special, right to her face, in front of the whole world? Because that's how it started. River Calloway, Navy SEAL Lieutenant Commander, medals gleaming on her chest, sitting there in that courtroom like the weight of the whole U.S. military was pressing down on her, and that judge, dripping contempt, staring at her like she was nothing but a stain on his record, leaning forward to say, "You're not special, Commander. You're just weak." Yeah, that really happened. And for a second, you could feel the air get sucked right out of the room, like even the walls were holding their breath, waiting to see what she'd do next. She just stood up, slow as sunrise, leaned into the mic, and whispered two words that sent chills down the spine of every brass in that room. Nobody moved, nobody breathed, and you know what? That was just the beginning. The courtroom was all wood and brass, all cold order and zero comfort. The kind of place built to remind you the system's bigger than any one person. Calloway sat there, back straight, hands folded, her right thumb running over that scar on her palm, a little private ritual, something nobody else noticed. Screens flickered to life, satellite footage playing out her last mission in black and white heat signatures, the whole mess they'd come to call Operation Blackfish. You could hear the radio chatter, clipped and tense, then her voice, calm under fire. Negative command. Cannot comply. Request immediate stand down. You could almost see the shiver run through the brass. She said no to a direct order. That's not something you do, not in that world. Prosecutor was Colonel Hargrove, all silver hair and frown lines, waving at the tech to replay the radio tapes, voice dripping with a kind of "I've seen it all" disappointment, even though his ribbons came from years behind a desk, not a firefight. In the front row, Admiral Northcraft, face like weathered stone, never blinking, never looking away from Calloway. The rest of the gallery, tight collars, sharp uniforms, everyone shifting, uncomfortable, pretending they weren't scared of what it meant if she was right. Calloway's defense? Major Alla Winfield, hair pulled back so tight it could cut glass, uniform creased sharp as a blade. Pushing back, Commander Calloway acted within her authority. She said, fighting to get Calloway's whole record on the table, but the judge just shot her down, said none of that mattered. All that mattered was April 18th. Did she follow the order or not? Day one ended with her old CO saying Calloway was flawless except for one thing. She'd started questioning orders lately, started thinking for herself. Like that was a flaw, not the whole damn point of being in command. Second day, experts, charts, timelines, intelligence analysts talking about potential civilian presence, like those words didn't weigh a ton. It wasn't until a young intelligence officer admitted, voice shaking, that they'd flagged civilian presence before the op. That's when Calloway's eyes locked on him. First sign of life since she walked in. Day 3, the room felt different, like the walls were closing in. Brass packed in, new faces showing up, message clear. Someone upstairs wanted to see her burn. Judge denied every motion from the defense, but allowed a last-minute psych eval to be used against her, never mind the years of clean assessments before. Then came the cross-examination, 2 hours of Hargrove pressing, poking, finally asking if her female sensibilities made her hesitate. Yeah, he really said that, and the room almost exploded. Winfield jumped up, but the judge let it slide. Calloway, face like ice, answered, "My sensibilities have kept teams alive through 3 wars, Colonel." Hargrove kept circling, but she held her ground. "I made a tactical decision. That's not freezing, that's leading." He tried to pin decision paralysis on her based on the psych report. She looked him dead in the eye and said, "Moral clarity." You could feel the whole room tense, like maybe they were finally starting to see her side. When she left the stand, the judge told her, loud for the record, "You're not exceptional, Commander. You're exceptionally weak." In the back, a Pentagon official muttered into a secure phone, eyes locked on her. She noticed for the first time a folder on the judge's desk, stamped "Eyes Only," with an insignia she hadn't seen in years, something from a past nobody was supposed to talk about. Next morning, the courtroom was packed, higher brass, intelligence, even a rep from the Secretary of Defense. Calloway arrived early, reviewing her service record, at least the official version, the one that left out the years marked special assignment. Winfield found her nervous, Something's happening. They're all here. Calloway just nodded. After today, so will Judge Blake. When the court opened, the tension was electric. The judge tried to act like nothing was different, but his eyes flicked to the gallery, like he knew the sharks were circling. "Commander, do you wish to address the court?" he asked. Calloway stood, voice steady, and asked to properly identify herself. Judge looked annoyed, said it wasn't necessary. But she pressed forward, leaned into the mic, and whispered obsidian dusk. The effect was instant. A colonel dropped his pen. The Pentagon aide stood up. Admiral Northcraft's face went pale. Judge Blake's mask cracked as he realized something was happening he couldn't control. She repeated it, louder this time, obsidian dusk, November 2017 through March 2020. Task Force 88. The courtroom erupted, officers on their phones, judge pounding the gavel, order gone. Then a man in a suit handed Blake a phone. The judge's face changed in seconds, from smug to scared. He called a recess, everyone locked in the building. In the waiting room, Northcraft approached her. "We thought you were dead," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "Some days I was," she answered, just as Winfield burst in, demanding the truth. Calloway finally explained Obsidian Dusk was a ghost unit, off the books, sent places that didn't exist, doing things nobody could admit. Their last mission went sideways. All her team killed because of bad intel Blake had signed off on, despite the warnings. Now, here he was, judge and executioner, trying to erase her again. When court reconvened, Blake was gone in his place. Admiral Kendrick, legendary in intel circles, no patience for games. She dissolved the court-martial, declared the proceedings classified, and returned Calloway's sidearm to her, a sign of trust and redemption. "Your actions were consistent with the highest traditions of the Navy," Kendrick announced, making it clear to those who needed to know. Calloway wasn't insubordinate. She'd recognized a repeat of a catastrophe and stopped it. It came out that Blake had hidden conflicts of interest, having helped authorize the failed mission years earlier. Vindication should have felt sweet, but Calloway stood straight, only letting herself relax for a second. Later, Kendrick offered her 3 paths: honorable discharge, instructor, or command of a new unit this time, with real oversight, no deniability, just accountability. Calloway asked for time to decide, but you could see it in her eyes she wasn't done yet. She visited Arlington, walked to the row of headstones. Nobody else would ever connect 7 names, 7 ghosts. She placed stones on each, remembering the team she'd lost, the promises left unfulfilled. Kendrick found her there, offered real change, full benefits for the families, autonomy to build her own team, direct line to the top. "I'll take the third option, but on my terms," Calloway said. Kendrick agreed. As they walked away, Kendrick asked what to name the unit. "Echo Vigil," Calloway said. "We stand watch for those who no longer can." Her first day in the new ops center, her new team stood ready, each chosen for skill. Yes, but also because they carried some piece of the ghost from before. As she took command, you could almost feel the balance shift. Justice, maybe finally starting to turn. Judge Blake? Escorted away in silence, career over, exposed for what he'd done, but Calloway knew he was just the first thread. The real story was just beginning, in the shadows, where accountability doesn't come from a courtroom, but from people who remember what honor's supposed to mean. You tell me, what would you have done, sitting in that courtroom, facing down the whole system? Did Calloway do the right thing? Or did the Navy just bury its mess a little deeper, hoping nobody looks too close? Share your take below. I want to know where you draw the line between obedience and justice, between command and conscience. Because some ghosts don't stay buried. They come back, and this time, they're not asking permission.